Hello and welcome back to Logical Magic Examining Esoterica. Hey guys, today we have a more magically themed episode where I'm going to be talking to you about how to clear your psychic eye, how to protect yourself during divination, and how to clear your aura as well. Now, I've talked a lot about the necessity of clearing your home frequently, particularly if you're doing any form of manifestation work, and that includes the law of attraction, because the energy in your home will influence the energy of your manifestation. So you always want to start out with a clean slate where you've cleared as much as you can to have positive energy. And I've done multiple episodes on how to do that, how to clear a room, how to prepare a clearing spray. On my YouTube channel, there's a recipe for a clearing spray, and it does demonstrate how to clear a room as well. And the clearing spray is made without sage or Palo Santo, both of which are endangered. So we're trying to look for alternative sources that still are as effective in clearing the energy of your home. But when we're reaching into a psychic space, and this is also going to cover how to use a spirit board or a Ouija board safely, because all of the terrible stories that we hear about people encountering entities through spirit boards or Ouija boards are actually true. And part of the reason I decided to do this episode was I was on TikTok, and somebody was telling a ghost story that their dad had related to them and ended up telling this very famous entity that shows up on Ouija board and Ouija board and Ouija board. It even has a name that, like, if you, I'm not going to say the name, names have power, I'm not going to say the name. But it is well known enough that it predates the internet, and it always does the same thing. It takes over a communication and starts threatening to kill people. It's a very, very dark energy indeed. It has a tendency to scare the crap out of people because the energy is very, very dark. But when we're trying to hone our intuition, because here's the thing about intuition, I've gone into this before. Now, before I go into all of this, I almost forgot to do my housekeeping. Let's do the housekeeping. The housekeeping is, I'm Alane. You can find me at therisingmoon.com, and it's the only way to book me for a tarot card reading, a life coaching session. If you want some instruction on magic, if you have a question about it, I should be able to help you with that as well. I have a Patreon where now I'm doing weekly reads and also teaching tarot reading in reverse, because a lot of people don't know how to read reversals. I think that they're a very effective and integral tool to my own reading. I am self-taught, so I had no idea that other readers did not read reversals until I began doing this professionally and found so many people who are like, oh, I don't read reversals. And that's a legitimate choice. But if you're interested in them, I'm teaching them on that Patreon. And then I have a YouTube channel called Cronecast at the Rising Moon. I'm going to drop the link in the episode notes and in the description box down below to that clearing spray in case you're looking for a method for making a high-level clearing spray that is actually capable of clearing your home to prepare for manifestation, for magic, for rituals as well. But today I'm focusing more on, the idea of reaching into psychic space and keeping yourself clear and keeping yourself safe. But what do you do when you've encountered something that doesn't feel good, that feels heavy, that feels dark, that feels icky, that makes you cry or makes you feel depressed or makes you feel angry? And you will encounter all of these things. Particularly if you're giving readings to other people and you're not in a sufficiently grounded, cleared, or protected space. One of the things that we want to be able to do is always to clear our energy. So I'm going to teach you a really simplistic form of a clearing spray that will not work if you're a pro, but will work if you're like, hey, I feel like something's wrong here. I'm having nightmares. I'm hearing stuff move in the middle of the night. This is a very basic clearing spray that you can spray all four corners of the room and one puff in the center. That is the way to clear a room. You also want to do the X and the cross pattern in all doorways, all portals, all windows. If it looks like particularly mirrors, oh my gosh, please, please clear your mirrors on a regular basis. And a lot of people don't like to be around smoke. I don't like to be around smoke either. So that's why clearing sprays can be so effective. But I'm going to talk about the cheapest and the easiest methods to clear your psychic eye and to clear your aura first. You want to start by clearing your home. Now, if you're like, hey, I don't have conjure oils, I don't have a bunch of crystals lying about, this is with basic household ingredients that you can clear. You would need white vinegar, and you're going to need some purified or cleared water. It can be from the tap, but you do have to go ahead and bless and empower it, which all you do is you hold it in a glass receptacle in your hands, you focus on it, you pray over it, you call to the deities that you happen to work with to bless and empower and activate it to purify your space. And that's literally all you have to do. I'm holding a glass of water right now. I could do it to this water right now, drink it, and it would help. But what you want to do when you're making a spray, and you just get a spray bottle from like a Home Depot, or you can repurpose one that you have in your home as well, is you're going to do a half and half mixture of water and white vinegar. And what you can do is take the rind only of a lemon and put that into the bottle as well, and let it sit for about a week in a dark space. So underneath your kitchen sink is absolutely perfect. If you want to get a little more inventive with this, thoroughly wash either some rosemary or some juniper to go in there as well, and you can let it steep. It will smell amazing. Please remember, it will leave a slight brown cast if you use it as a cleaning a spray. So you're going to want to wipe away with water afterwards. But that's a perfect room spray to clear your whole home. And it's, you can get those ingredients from Dollar Tree for the most part. And can you use like freeze-dried lemon? Yeah, sure you could. It's better if it's fresh. And for anything that you're putting in it, do the whole step of you stop, you bless, and empower it. So what does that really do? It imbues you with anything with your intent. Whenever you're using anything for clearing, you want to make your intent absolutely clear. So that's the baseline for, hey, you want to use a Ouija board, you want to get together with your friends and, goof around with a deck of tarot, clear the room first. Clear the room first, and then if you want to go a little bit more high level, what you're going to want to do is you're going to take a white candle that you have passed through the smoke of some incense, or you can clear it with that exact same blessed empowered water or that vinegar and water spray. And you want to do that because it removes the energy of anyone who's not you. And you're going to light that and ask to only be given accurate answers from good sources, ones with pure intent, those who intend to help and to heal. You want to ask for your guides to be the only ones that you can hear. For invocation, the thing that you would really want to do is invoke the guardian angels that are associated with the elements for protection. The Archangel Gabriel is the element of air. The Archangel Raphael is the element of water. The Archangel Uriel is the element of fire in Celestial and Angelic Magic. And that is what I practice. It's a form of theosophy. It is related to chaos magic, but it is not the form of chaos magic that you are likely familiar with. It utilizes the figureheads from the Christian religion, from the Hindu religion, and from Buddhism as well. So it does allow you to move between belief systems, but you have to do so reverently and with respect. So you would ask for the protection. Oh, and then the Archangel Michael, who is the most important one for protection, is the element of earth. And that also brings me to and then you do your reading, and afterwards, do you need to clear again? It's helpful, particularly if you've been reading about any subjects relating to jealousy, to any of the shadow aspects of our personality that are just normal parts. You're not being shamed about them. But if you've been asking about relationships, clear the room. If you've been asking about rivals, clear the room. If you've been asking about money and when it's going to come to you, clear the room afterwards. And you won't have to worry about anything being attached to your subconscious, which is really the problem that we have. And that's also things that get on your aura. If you want to kind of circumvent the idea of needing to take spiritual baths and things, clearing your room before and after is always the best bet. When I'm done here today, I will clear before I see clients later. And I will clear in between clients because people have things on them. It's normal. It's not a judgment. It doesn't make them icky or unclean. It just is a normal part of doing this. When you look into psychic space, remember there are dimensions that we don't fully understand. And I'm a big fan of science. In fact, Rachel Garrett and I have a podcast coming up that is talking about balancing between belief and science and how to let the practical and the mystical kind of coexist without canceling each other out. And that'll be up in a few weeks. I think I'm not positive at this particular juncture when that one's going up. So first we covered clearing, and then here's another one that is not for the meek, and I'm covering the least expensive ones now. But again, it is not for the meek. It is for people who are like, yep, I'm willing to do anything to clear my psychic eye, to clear my energy. You've come out of a toxic relationship. You've had contact with relatives that drag you back to a darker place. This is the easiest way. I'm giggling because it's not fun, but it's not terrible either. Get fresh garlic. It has to be fresh. It cannot be garlic powder. It cannot be jar like the minced garlic in a jar. It has to be fresh garlic. And you're going to take one clove, make it a nice substantial clove. Do not look for the smallest clove in the bunch. If you have only small cloves, use two. You're going to chop that up very, very, very finely. I mean, and the reason is you're going to be swallowing it, and it is going to go in a conductive agent, which is honey in this case. But you want to chop it up really, really small. And then you're going to let it sit for about 10 minutes. And the reason to do this is it allows a chemical compound in garlic that allows it to do things like help lower your blood cholesterol, as a for instance. It's also a good anti-inflammatory agent. It's also considered a strong antioxidant. In plant medicine, it is also considered an antifungal and an antibiotic. So it will help change and clear your energy. Chop that up, let it sit for about 10 minutes. I put it in a Pyrex custard cup or a ramekin, and I clean off the cutting board immediately because it does actually smell pretty strongly. Oh, by the way, washing your hands while holding a stainless steel utensil and making sure you rub it over any parts of your skin that came in contact with raw garlic will remove the smell. It does actually neutralize that particular compound. So you let it sit for about 10 minutes, then you take a tablespoon of honey. Local honey is best. This is something that people take to try and rid themselves of infections, to try and treat any kind of inflammation. So it's good for things like arthritis. It's also good for allergies as well. If you are vegan and you're like, hey, I just don't do honey, no problem, use maple syrup. And the reason that you want to use a carrier agent here is you're going to be swallowing it, and it will keep you from getting garlic breath. It'll go directly into your stomach, and like you won't have dragon breath all day. But it will help alter your blood chemistry, which alters your body chemistry, which is one of the things that helps clear anything that attached to you when you're in a different state. And whenever I have really challenging clients who I know are going through a lot, because I do a lot of healing reads, helping people recover from complex post-traumatic stress disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder, and just trying to find their way in life, because I do life's purpose reads. When I know I've got somebody challenging coming up who's really going through it, I take that in the morning. Now, be aware, this is like the original version of Red Bill. They used to really give this to Egyptian workers, and some other ancient lands also used this as well. I think the Romans did, but I'm not positive on that one. I know the Egyptians did. And it will energize you tremendously. It will genuinely make you feel like that wonderful coffee buzz, but with no jitteriness. You will just feel energized. You will feel lighter and brighter and clearer. And that is one of the ways to have a very clear and open psychic eye right before a reading as well. If that sounds a little too hardcore for you, that's okay. I'm really only recommending it for people who believe they are coming in contact with attachments. It is one of the protective herbs as well. And so it will also help protect you from darker elements, darker magic, darker entities, anybody who's like really focusing their ill intent on you, which can happen. Anybody really vibing at you where they're really, really angry, like their energy can reach you because you're in their thoughts a great deal, that will help disrupt that as well. And that is the most effective way. So those are the two easiest things to do to be able to use a spirit board safely. Now, a lot of people are going to balk at the garlic thing. I swear to you, nobody smells it. You are swallowing it in the carrier agent of the honey or the maple syrup. And you want to go sweet with it because it'll easily coat that. You'll swallow it. You genuinely will not get any garlic breath going on that. If you're troubled by it at all, have a nice big glass of water after that as well. Speaking of which, the next one, if you're not dealing with, I think I've got the world's ickiest oogly boogly on me, what you can also do is take water. You're going to activate it as well to clear your system. And the way you activate it, I'm on screen for this one, but if you're listening to the audio only, I've just picked up a glass of water and put it between my hands. And you bless, activate, and empower the water to clear your energy, to protect your psychic eye, and to clear your aura. And it's going to be a little more complicated when I really do it, because I will invoke the archangels and the guardians who guard the four corners. You can also call out to your guides, your guardians, your ancestors, your angels. These will all work as well to help you bless and empower that. And then you can take a lemon, and you can bless, activate, and empower that for the exact same purposes, and squeeze some of the lemon juice into the water. Make sure to drink that down quickly. Take it within a 15-minute period. Make sure that you get it in there. The other thing you can use is cucumber, because cucumber is a diuretic, and it will actually make your cells flush themselves out, basically, which is the other thing that you want to do. And then the other thing that I don't see very commonly shared, Basil is also a protective herb. This is from Green Witchery. Basil is a protective herb, and what you can do is take one fresh basil leaf, crush it lightly, and leave it in the water for a half an hour before you drink it. And basil and cucumber water tastes delightful. You'll feel like you're at a spa, but you're actually clearing and protecting your psychic eye from that. So that's the basic stuff around what you can do before and after divination. If you're really against the garlic thing, do the water thing after you read. The other thing that you can do is you can take a black obsidian, a black tourmaline, or a black onyx, and you can bless, empower, and activate it to actually clear your energy, or you can also play a root chakra bowl around it. Remember, meditative mind, healing vibrations, inner lotus music. These are all recommended channels on YouTube. They have a very clear energy. And all you have to do is play the music around that for it to absorb the vibrations. And then you're going to take a bowl of water, and you're going to take a tablespoon of, it can be table salt, it can be sea salt, but you're going to bless, activate, and empower that to clear your energy, to clear your psychic eye, to detach anything that may have been attached to you while you are working in divination or magic, or if you have been around people who have a bad vibe, who have something wrong with them. Addicts famously have all kinds of attachments around them. So if you go to Thanksgiving or something and your incredibly drunken uncle who has an addiction that nobody will actually recognize is around you and you want to clear your energy afterwards, this is yet another way to do that. Is you take the bowl of water, you bless, activate, and empower it, you put the salt in, which you bless, activate, and empower to keep you grounded, to keep you safe, to shed everything that does not belong in the 3D, and then you put that in the water, and then you're going to take your black obsidian and you're going to put it in there. It can be, it's supposed to be a small one, and you're going to start swirling it in front of you. So you only want the water about halfway up. You're going to start swirling it in front of you in a counterclockwise motion, and you're just going to ask again, have your intent be, I'm trying to clear and clean my energy, to clear my aura, to clear my psychic space, to clear my ability to communicate. All of these things can work for clearing any particular chakra point. Stop. Go ahead, take the water, pour it into a grounding source. Remember, it has salt water in it, so it's not great for plants. So it's best to pour it into an area that doesn't have plants in it. It can be a potted plant with just potting soil in it. That will work as well. Please make sure you're not putting it into any water sources that animals drink from, because it will pollute that water. And you want to put it into a grounding source. And then what do you do with the black obsidian, the black tourmaline, or the black onyx that has absorbed your negative energy? You want to clear it with a sound bowl. You can also clear it with a just a regular old bell. Bells, actually, the high-pitched frequency is supposed to help anything that is not, it detaches it. It detaches it. It changes the energetic vibration, and it detaches whatever might be on you. So that's yet another way to do that. So if all that isn't working and you're like, I was in a toxic relationship for a long time, it's going to take a while to remove all fragmented energy. And this goes for anybody doing divination for any form of work, or if you like to do it for your friends, or if you do it for yourself, you need to clear very consistently and very frequently in order to be able to get the clear answers, because attachments don't announce themselves always. But they will start giving you results in your readings that are not accurate, because they feed off of the energy of your focus. And so it's not even that they're malevolent, it's just they're doing their job to, like, absorb the energy that keeps them going in whatever dimension they happen to be dwelling in. And we've talked a little bit about the fact that, we do know other dimensions exist, but we have trouble perceiving them because we are 3D beings. And one of the easiest ways to clear your energy is to pull yourself as thoroughly into the 3D as possible, which brings us to balancing work. After you've done some clearing, and I really do recommend doing at least one of those things. If you do the garlic and honey one, you basically don't have to do anything else. And you want to do that for a good solid 2 weeks, okay? You want to do it for a full moon cycle, either the new moon or the full moon. It will work on either. Honest to goodness, it's one of the few forms of green witchery that does not have to be. The new moon is for manifesting, the full moon is for releasing. But you can manifest healing or you can manifest releasing. Just keep in mind where the moon is as you bless, empower, and activate anything. But if you do the garlic and honey one, you are very, very, very safe going forward. And again, it has an antibiotic and an antiviral and an antifungal impact on it. So plant medicine practitioners absolutely love that as a treatment for low-level infections as well. So keep that part in mind. And remember, anything that I recommend to you, make sure that it's medically appropriate for you. There are some people who are going to have an allergy to something that has a sulfur-based chemical compound in it. And so make sure that it is medically appropriate for you. Honest to goodness, whenever anybody tells you to ingest something, do your due diligence, do your groundwork to make sure that it isn't contraindicated for whatever might be going on with you. So if you've done all of these things and you're like, no, I still have something, I was in a long-term relationship that was toxic and I'm trying to clear that person's energy from my energy, know that you can do that. And then at the after dark, it needs to be after dark. Spiritual baths work best after dark. So keep that part in mind. After the sun sets, what you want to do is you want to get yourself clean first, by the way, clean all your bits and parts. You want to get into a spiritual bath clean. So you want to get into a bath that you have 1 cup of sea salt or table salt, which you can get at Dollar Tree for like $1.99. And 1 cup of Epsom salt as well. You're going to put that into a bath that is, you don't want it actually hot. You want it like above tepid, just warm, because you're going to be in there for a while. Soak in that while listening to a clearing meditation. If you don't have a clearing meditation available, what you can do is repeat one of the protective Psalms. I think it's Psalm 23 or is it 93 or 92? I'm not sure. I say it every day, so I'm not sure what the number is, but it is whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust, etc. If that is not part of your belief system, find the incantation for the invocation of protection within your belief system. Say that before you get into the bath. You are going to need to dunk your head, ideally. Ideally, you will dunk your head. If you don't want to dunk your head, if you're like, I know my hair is so sensitive, so fragile, cannot be dunking it in salt water, there is a method to make sure, because you're trying to disrupt your cellular barrier all over your body when you're trying to release any attachments and clear your energy. So what you can use is one of those scalp massager brushes when you take the shower beforehand to make sure you're cleaned, and just scrub thoroughly all over your scalp while shampooing in order to make sure that it's cleared. So you're going to get into the tub. You're going to be in there for about 20 minutes. You can use a clearing meditation, a clearing frequency. You can be listening to almost anything that helps you with your spiritual practice. Be in there for about 20 minutes, dunk your head 3 times. Let the water out, stand up, rinse off with cool water. Cool water is the best. You can't rinse off with just hot water because it's inflammatory. So you do actually want to rinse off with cool water. It will also help prevent things like some bladder infections and things when you make sure you get yourself thoroughly rinsed. While you're doing that, please don't forget to scrub in and around your ears gently, obviously. You can also use the exfoliating mitts that we get in drugstores. They're very, very inexpensive. Again, think about disrupting your cellular barrier to create cell turnover all over your body. Do not forget the bottom of your feet. Rinse off all over. After you get out of the bath, get into fresh clothing and take whatever you were wearing beforehand and put it in the hamper, and don't worry about it. If you want, you can spritz it with a room clearing spray if you're really concerned. Because part of what went into making me determine I wanted to do this episode was a fellow reader who's a friend of mine, because I have a lot of friends who are actually tarot readers as well, contacted me because there was a client that she had done everything she could with, and she's like, do you want to work with her? But she's not well. And it outlines some of the things that were going on with her. And I don't have room on my client roster for anybody who's in that bad a shape right now. And so I said no, but I was thinking, we were talking about the things that she had to do to keep herself cleared after talking to this person who was in a really, they need mental health help, but they are extremely resistant to it. And I'm not betraying anybody's confidences. You have no idea who I'm talking about in any of these instances. But when you're a reader, if you have read for somebody who has anxiety, depression, any form of mental health issue, it is not that they are dirty or unclean, but they have things that feed off of that energy, and you're going to want to clear your energy. The other thing that you can do to clear your energy entirely is to use sound bowls. The root chakra, which is again related to the element of earth, is the one that's going to be the most grounding. Remember, you do not need to have a physical sound bowl. I do have them. They're behind me if you can see on my YouTube channel. I do have sound bowls, but if you don't, the recordings work well. It's a little bit better in person. It's a little bit better in person, but you can find them again all over YouTube. Look for a root chakra healing or clearing frequency. And in magic, you're going to get told to do a lot of your own groundwork because we have to reach for our own personal power, and our guides bring us the answers that are right for us as well. But it also is, it's not something where if you're following somebody's instructions constantly, then you're not in your power, you're in their method. And expect to lay the baseline knowledge from learning from others, because there's not a darn thing wrong with learning from others. But remember, you will be guided towards the tweaks that are right for you. Those are very, very basic clearing things. Make sure if you're doing any form of reading for others that a spiritual bath is in your life at least once a moon cycle. So again, that's going to be about 2 a month. And they're very relaxing. They're not taxing at all, and they will help you sleep better. So another really inexpensive way to keep your space cleared while you are doing readings is to take 4 small bowls. Again, think of those little Pyrex custard cups. And again, table salt works just fine. And it's very, very inexpensive. And you're going to bless and empower that salt in the exact same way that you would for the clockwise clearing method that we had talked about with the salt water that is then poured into a grounding source. And you're going to put 1 small bowl in all 4 corners of your room. You can put a lemon in there, just the peel. You don't need to put the full fruit in there. And that will also create a good barrier and a good clear space. And it also helps make your room smell great. So moving on from the ones that are, those are like, that's what you can get at the Dollar Tree. That's what you can do. You don't need special equipment. You don't need to have an income that will support a lot of things like conjure oils or specialized practices or crystals. That is if you're looking to be safe, and every single last one of those, listen, like all psychics, like all people who do this, I really don't recommend spirit boards or Ouija boards, but people are going to do them anyway. And pendulums access the same source, okay? So please remember that. Anything that you're asking to enter your subconscious mind and work through you, because that's what you're doing with a spirit board, you want to make sure that you're clearing very frequently. But let's move on to some things that are just a tiny bit more sophisticated beyond that. It is incredibly important to eat a healthy diet. Now, I don't personally eat meat. I no longer refer to myself as vegan, even though I was vegan for a long time, simply because I was doing some research on algorithms. And there's something called a pipeline for an algorithm, which is what brings things into your feed, what causes things to cross your path on social media. And one of the things that I was reading in the search engine optimization research that I was doing was that for the alt-right, any extreme belief system is a pipeline to the alt-right, and veganism came underneath that. And I was like, well, that's it. I'm not a vegan anymore. Nope, howdy, I'm done, because I don't want that crap crossing my path, period. And I didn't want to have anything that would direct my energy towards there. And I don't have a thing against vegans. A lot of vegans are incredibly good people who care so very, very deeply about animals. But there are some people inhabiting extreme belief systems that are also blocking out other answers on things. So it was another thing about making sure I didn't have any rigid structures around what I would allow to manifest in my life. Having said that, you can still eat meat, you can still eat fish, and all you need to do is make sure that you increase your root vegetables, because that is an incredibly grounding source. So you want to think of carrots, of turnips, of beets, of potatoes, of sweet potatoes. Anything that grows in the actual earth is a good grounding source. Make sure to incorporate those into your diet. And then, as we were talking about with garlic, which has a compound in it that increases when it is allowed to sit, it is also something that gives it a smell, which is why that carrier agent of the honey or the maple syrup will work so very well. What you want to do is you want to eat something called cruciferous vegetables, which are going to break down into sulfur compounds as well. And that is going to be things like broccoli, cauliflower, the cabbage families, Brussels sprout, all of those make sure incorporating those into your diet. If you eat a little bit every single day, they contain a lot of antioxidants. Anything that is billed as containing a lot of antioxidants, which fight free radicals in your bloodstream and things that you are exposed to. They're very, very good in being helping people fight off things like infection and in cancer and in keeping your immune system robust, which is what we're really talking about. The thing that will protect you the most from having things attached to you or occlude your psychic eye or not being able to tap into your greatest guidance all are able to prey on people who have less of an immune system than others. If you have any autoimmune disorders, then always check with your doctor, and you're likely eating a very antioxidant rich diet anyway. But make sure you eat from the anti-inflammatory foods list, and anything that is billed as being high in antioxidants, the less processed, the better, because you will get the most potent form of the compounds within those foods that benefit you the most. So try to eat whole wherever you can. The problem, of course, becomes that is a stance of privilege, that being able to eat an incredibly healthy diet also it means that you have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. There are a lot of grocery store deserts, particularly in the United States, where the only place that they can do is shop at Dollar Tree. Please do not be afraid of frozen vegetables. They may have a higher sodium content, so if you have any heart problems, please check with your doctor. But frozen vegetables are picked and frozen while they are still incredibly fresh, and they're actually often more nutritious than the ones that have been sitting out in your vegetable crisper, who knows how long ago they saw the fields. Frozen vegetables are frozen almost immediately after being picked, so please don't be afraid of them. They have a high level of nutrition. A little bit more sophisticated becomes the idea of conjure oils. Now, if you don't have access to a magic shop that you trust, I recommend Three Crows Conjure. Inexplicable Things is good as well. I don't personally do well with Conjured Cardia's work. We work in different realms, but I know she's incredibly strong, and those are very good conjure oils as well. I do use Art of the Root, which is available just on Amazon, but if you're a high-level practitioner, that type of mass-produced stuff is perfect for you because you want to bless and activate any conjure oil that you're using anyway. And so you're able to easily override the energy of that and program it for your own intent. So I actually recommend Art of the Root pretty highly. And they have a huge, diverse, anything you need, they've got it. I use that a lot. So you're going to want to look for things like protection from evil, evil be gone. Another way to do that is any form of cut and clear. Blockbuster is another one. Road opener gets a little bit crazy, so like don't use that just to clear your energy because you're busting away barriers. You're trying to release blockages and things that are blocking your psychic eye through all of this clearing. But what if you don't have the ability to get any of that? Lemongrass oil will work. If you really do not have the ability to get any of, and you'll find those at like Indian grocery stores. Any ethnic grocery in your area will have things like basil essential oil. They will have lemongrass as well. It's not meant to be ingested, and they might give you a really, really weird look when you're like, no, I'm actually using this for some candle magic, because I've said that in the past and they have immediately been terrified of me. Check out ethnic grocery stores for essential oils. They usually have them at a very, very low price. Lemongrass oil is the best clearing one, and you can anoint a candle with it, and but make sure you clear the candle first. All you have to do is invoke the protective powers. I would say in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, because that is my first approach through Celestial and Angelic Magic. And I am a High Priestess in Celestial and Angelic Magic, which to get there, you have to go through at least a 4-year period of a hermetic training thing, which is all about simplicity and like a life of deprivation and a lot of isolation. So it's not fun, but it does give you access to a higher level of protection and to a higher level of invocation. So anything, and it clears your energy entirely. So that's what that hermetic phase is about, is it clears you from all earthly attachments. That's why you have to live a fairly deprived existence by Western standards in order to be able to achieve that level within Celestial and Angelic Magic. And that is because it's a very intent-based magic. So lemongrass anointed on a candle that you carve your first and last name into it and your birthday on it as well. It's best to do it 3 times, going down the candle instead of up. Anoint it with the oil. What you want to do is you put some oil between your hands, rub it together, clap it a little bit in order to wake up the energy. And then you anoint it in this incredibly phallic fashion where take it up, take it down, the root at the top. You're going to rub that lemongrass oil into your name and birthday very, very thoroughly. And it's not going to be drowning in it, but like all of it needs to receive that energy. And then you invoke the powers that are supposed to try and protect you, which may be individual to your belief system. You light it and you let it burn down. You can use a chime candle, which will burn down within 3 hours. You can use a plumber's candle, which are available at things like a Dollar Tree. Remember, that's got paraffin in it, and it's going to pollute your space a little bit. So be a little bit careful with your source. The best thing to do is either get beeswax or soy tea lights as well, and you can anoint it by putting 3 drops on the top of the tea light and let that burn. I've got one burning right now down on my altar as well. You do not need to have a dedicated altar space to be able to engage in any of these practices. Please remember, fire is destructive, so don't leave them alone. And I just said I've got something burning on my altar. My altar is fireproof, and I've actually got it in this pink Himalayan salt holder that it can't burn above. So I've got it in a very fire-safe area as well. But always be careful with it because I've always, when everything is going wrong, I've known and I go to it immediately. It's just I'm very connected to it. But don't count on that. Please try to be careful with something that can be a very destructive force indeed. So anything about clearing your aura that we want to cover? The ocean, any forms of running water are the best things to do. I'm sure that there are many people at different botanic gardens and state parks that think I'm a lunatic because I go leaping. Literally, you got to leap over. You can wade through as well, but I often leap over streams 3 and 4 times in order to clear all attachments. I do an invocation before that. Running water has a lot of power. It's part of the reason that it is used in the purest form of baptism within a religion is a fresh water source is known to clear you entirely. It can clear you of magics upon you. It can clear you of generational karma or trauma or also of any forms of black magic. And I need you to understand something. It won't work the first time. If it's generational, it's been with your family since you had a family in most instances, it could take years. But you'll feel it getting better and better and better and better and better. And the way you'll know whether or not is like how healthy are the people in your family? Have they had a lot of calamity? Have they had a lot of things go wrong? Do they lose everything they ever get? Which is one of the biggest signs. Is that like they're never more than about 5 years away from a big catastrophe where everything blows up and they lose something very suddenly. That's another form of generational curse. What you want to do with the streams is again, walk through them, wade over them, leap over them. If you are going to the ocean, if you have access to the ocean, I live in Southern California, I have access to the ocean. If you don't worry about it. Take a spiritual bath. Find a running water source. Will something like a sprinkler or a hose work? It won't work as well. No, it won't work as well. But you can actually clear yourself with a hose if you're willing to go and take a spiritual bath afterwards, because the salt water actually helps negate things as well. To get a clearer sense of, there's one more thing I want to cover. If you don't have access to lemongrass oil either, if you can't buy counter oils, if you can't buy lemongrass oil, if you're like, no, I'm really in a basicville over here, get a bottle of olive oil. You can get that at Walmart for like $6. Get a bottle of olive oil, extra virgin. Please don't get the light tasting variety. The like cold pressed is best if you can get it, but that starts to be more expensive. You're gonna grab what is our favorite thing in clearing? It's a lemon. Grab a lemon. Bless, activate, and empower it before taking the peel off or anything. And you're gonna zest that lemon into a cup of olive oil. And you're going to let it, so you're going to bless, activate, and empower it to clear your energy, to clear any forms of attachment, to clear any dark energies. And you're going to let that sucker sit out for 3 days. And you're going to put it on an altar if you have an altar, but you can also quite simply leave it on your kitchen counter or on a table. Please don't let it hit direct sunlight. After 3 days, strain it through a strainer to get rid of the lemon peel. You don't have to do that step if you don't want to. It'll still work. And that works really well as a clearing oil. If you're into very basic things or you have a lot of financial constraints around what it would take, that's the easiest form. And will vegetable oil also work? Peanut oil would be the one that you would want to choose. If you're like, I can't afford olive oil, I don't have it accessible to me, because I actually do have people from different countries listening. Peanut oil works as well, and you can use any form of citrus fruit that it tends towards sour. So limes will work as well. Let's see if there's anything else that we want to talk about to be able to increase your ability to divine, because that's really what this series is about, is keeping yourself safe in a psychic space or in a magical space and being able to see as clearly as you can. One thing that we want to cover about intuition, which you will have heard me say multiple times, but I need to start saying something additional to that, which is that if it ends in a question mark, it's your anxiety. Your intuition doesn't ask questions, it gives information. So if you're sitting there thinking up, what if this happens? What if that happens? What would I do? That is not your intuition, that is your anxiety. It is your fear and your anxiety. And it is your attempt to control the situation rather than understanding that if you're in a cleared space, the answers you need come to you when you need them. You are on a need-to-know basis with your intuition. Your intuition gives you actionable information. And this is the part I haven't been adding that it occurred to me. It is there to tell you how to make a situation better. Even if the situation itself is bad, if it's like, you got to break up with him, that can in fact be your intuition. And that's not necessarily a positive message, but it's telling you how to make things better. Your intuition is your problem solving at a higher level, informed by your higher self. So that's what all of this work about clearing and being in a cleared space and trying to reach out via divination, even if you're not using cartomancy or tarot or oracle cards, these are all the things that you can do to create a clear meditative space. Now, I did a podcast on how to meditate with anxiety or depression. And I would suggest that you listen to that because it has a very basic method for how to meditate if you can't stop and clear your mind. And if you cannot stop and clear your mind, you have an attachment. If you cannot stop and clear your mind, if you are unable to meditate, it is not that it is not suited to your personality or to your chemical makeup or to the way that your brain functions. It is that your brain can't stop when you're asking it to. You should be able to clear your mind. And if you're not able to, there is something that is trying to spur that energy on, and it is from some form of attachment. Please undertake one of the clearing methods that I just mentioned at least once a week. The one I would recommend is the garlic one. That garlic one you will feel so energized, you will feel so clear, you will not smell to high heaven of garlic. A lot of people here who listen to this have actually met me. I don't reek. Like, you have to be able to, it's why you don't chew it. It's why you're swallowing it chopped up, but you're not actually chewing it. So it's not penetrating your mucous membranes in the same way that would influence what your breath smells like. I'm not going to lie, if you belch, you could probably burn down a town with your dragon breath. But, for the most part, like, unless you've got some digestive issues, that's not an issue either. But that's the place to start if you cannot focus enough to meditate and ask for your answers. Because when you sit down to meditate, if you're not using any tools, if you're like, I don't do this for a living, I'm just interested, I want to be able to tap into my intuition. Clear the room, take one of the practices that I outlined at the very beginning of this, and the easiest one to do is that freaking garlic one. And if you're asking, will it work as well if I just eat garlic and food? It won't, because the chemical compound in garlic that actually will help clear your energy, and by the way, it'll clear your sinuses and all kinds of things. It doesn't survive the cooking process as well. It is greatly reduced. So you have to eat a lot of garlic in your food. And by the way, you shouldn't eat too much garlic. You really shouldn't. More than 2 or 3 cloves a day is not recommended. Please look into that, do some research on it, because it can be hard on your liver. So you can't just go like, fine, then I'll just eat, I'll have garlic smoothies and garlic soup, but you can't do that. Too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing, and it's all about moderation in almost all things. But when you're trying to ask for your answers, when you sit down to meditate, Do not expect the answers to come to you during the session. Is one of the things that is put forth about meditation that is quite simply not true, is that you will not receive your answers in the moment. It's not a on-demand service. Sit down and ask for greater guidance, to be asked to be told what to do in a particular situation. And you have to be in that space where if you are not able to clear your mind, that meditation podcast that I did gives you a method to follow that is basically a rote thing. So it gives you just enough focus that your overly busy mind can be like, I will chew on this, while there is a part of you, but because it's not in any way engaging your executive functioning, which is why that method for counting up to 10, etc., works so well. Is it's not an executive functioning thing, but it gives your mind something to chew on. Basically, you won't need it all the time either once you get rid of all attachments. I now meditate really easily. I like to move around a lot, so I don't sit and meditate for hours, but I will meditate 3 or 4 times a day. And you can sit down and ask for the intention that you are asking about, what to do about your work, what to do about your relationship, what to do. Tell me what I can do to find my life's purpose is another one. And the answers will come to you in new and inventive ways. Sometimes it will be that you get an urge to go talk to a friend and they say something that really clicks for you. That's how resonance works. People want to be able to sit down, meditate, and they go off and they meet their guides and they have a meeting and they get up and they're all energized and it rarely works that way. For people who are very, very dedicated to a spiritual practice or are spiritual workers, it can, but it doesn't often. And I always tell people that be very careful with anything that's appearing to you in meditations. If it asks for permissions to interact with you, it's not really part of you, and please deny it. Be careful in this realm. Be careful in this realm, because attachments can actually lead to forms of mental illness within the 3D if they get too severe. So just be super, super careful with that. Was there anything else that I wanted to cover in terms of the foods that you can eat that help a great deal? Basil being one. Again, it is best raw. You can chop that up and put it on a salad, and that is another clearing one. That is one that will help you focus. The crystals that can help you heal are, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly because it's something that I've read and I've heard like 15 different pronounces. I pronounce it selenite. I'm holding up a selenite wand here. You can wand yourself with the selenite wand. They're very inexpensive. Don't get them wet. They are water soluble. Sleeping with a bowl of salt up by the head of your bed with that lemon peel in it is another way that you can clear your energy. I don't wear any forms of jewelry in my private life, but when I'm working, I always have silver rings on. And as soon as I'm done working, I go and I drop them into a bowl of blessed and powered sea salt and pink Himalayan salt. That's the other thing you can do, is you can enchant pieces of your jewelry to protect you, to absorb all forms of attachment. A lot of things that are based in lore were found to be effective, and so don't discount lore. So silver is one of the things that is very protective as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything I can add for clearing your aura. Pepper. Pepper is another thing. Black pepper. Fresh ground black pepper is another one of the things that you can simply add to your diet to keep yourself as clear as possible. Peppercorns in salt around, that's another thing you can do for sleeping, because part of what we're always trying to talk about is that 10% of our thoughts are conscious and about 90% is like this, miasma of subconscious crap. Attachments have a tendency to hide in our subconscious. So you want to have something to do to clear your subconscious space, which comes to the fore when we're sleeping. Like sometimes when you have a funky dream, it's your subconscious trying to help you work through an issue. It's like stirring up the stuff that you need to deal with. So one of the things that you could do is make sure that you're sleeping with a salt bowl near you at near the head of your bed. Get as close to psychic eye as possible. An amethyst works incredibly well for clearing your psychic eye. Any kind of form of clear quartz can also help. I'm always trying to find the low-cost solutions around this, and I just need to remind you that the most effective way of clearing yourself is to interact with nature. And that does mean, if at all possible, standing in your bare feet on the actual ground. But if you don't have that sort of thing available, lean up against a tree, take the palms of your hands, both hands, put them behind you on either side of the trunk, and like you're backwards hugging this tree. Can you do it facing forward? Sure, you can. I like to have it like up and down my spinal column. And that acts as a grounding energy as well. And they've done actual scientific study on why there are positively charged ions that you interact with. And we have this synergistic relationship with the earth that you're trying to access whenever you physically skin to skin contact or skin to ground contact, make contact with the ground. The other thing to remember is that if you ever suspect that you have an attachment, sweep and mop your floors with something that has vinegar or lavender in it. And Fabuloso has like a lavender based one that can be very effective if you really want to like, get it very, very clear indeed. Add some eucalyptus, some rosemary, or some juniper to that. Remember, oils have a tendency to stain, so you only want 2 or 3 drops. Spirits really, really, really don't like vinegar. They do not like vinegar, and I don't know why. I do not know why. I've never had that shared with me, but it is something that causes basically your space to be cleared. So vinegar and water, you can bathe with vinegar and water as well if you're just in a pinch. If you're just in a pinch where you're like, I have no money, but like, and the reason I go into so many low cost options is people who do not have enough means have so many things going on in their lives and frequently have attachments and things that they don't have the means to get them cleared. It's part of the reason I do so much work on YouTube and here trying to provide some information for free. It truly troubles me that there are people who are suffering who cannot find the spiritual help or the medical help that they need. So if you're really super duper stuck, vinegar and water, sponge bath all over. Make sure you clean in your ears. Make sure that you lift up and at the very base of your neck. There is a chakra access point that has a lot to do with spirituality. Make sure you scrub there as well. And some of this is a little bit redundant and turning it out with like, I've done work on magic where I talked about the protective practices as well. But today we're trying to talk about honing your psychic eye. And the last thing that you can do that can be very effective indeed is to get a lapis lazuli. I think that's how it's pronounced, but I'm not positive. A lot of these things I've only ever read about. And that is one of the things that you can put it close to your skin. So if you're a woman, just slip it inside your bra. I guess you could be a man wearing a bra and slip it inside your bra as well. But you want it close to your skin if at all possible. Because so many attachments go towards the heart chakra space, because that's where we have a tendency to be most susceptible to fear, because the opposite energy of love is fear. You want to get it as close to your heart as possible. A lapis would be a good thing. Again, the amethyst, clear quartz, smoky quartz is another one that's very good for clearing, in any form of the black tourmaline, onyx, or black tourmaline, black onyx, and now I'm spacing into obsidian, black obsidian. I'm staring right at it. I'm like, what are you? You're a black obsidian. Those are the ones as well. Grid patterns in the corners of rooms and any of the thresholds are where you would want to put things like sprigs of rosemary or sprigs of a eucalyptus. If you are living in a place that is funky and you're like, I moved in and God knows what happened here beforehand, these are some of the ways that you can clear that space as well. Clear regularly and you shouldn't have a problem. Now, if you have had like a bad experience where like I did play with a Ouija board, because I've had to like, people had to pay me kind of a lot of money to close out some portals that occurred when they were using spirit boards and doing some ill-advised magic that they didn't understand what they were doing, and so they didn't understand the ramifications of it. And it's not slamming anybody. We all do it. We've all made mistakes. This is a land where you learn by mistakes sometimes. If you're doing any form of ritual magic, please make sure you're clearing very, very frequently indeed. Are there any provisos with that? Yeah, you kind of don't have to clear if you're doing a bunch of baneful work. If you're into cursing people, if you do a bunch of breakup magic, if you do any of the that's the realm I'm reaching into magic, you don't have to clear. You don't have to clear as much. But if you plan to do something that is healing, something that is clearing, something that is about enhancing your psychic eye, then you want to clear it first. Okay? All right, so guys, I hope that was helpful, because everybody who's listening to this is interested in this world. And so these are the ways to keep yourself safe in this world. And if you don't have any money at all and you just want to be able to clear, shower, bathe, ground, sit down in a cleared space. If you can sit down in nature, that's perfect. And remember, ask for your information. Ask for the answers and do not expect it to come to you when you sit down and meditate, but know that you have opened the door and been like, send it in, and it will rise up like bubbles in a carbonated beverage when you need it. And it can also help you learn to have very good intuition about who belongs in your life and who doesn't. It can help tremendously in learning how to recognize red flags. As a for instance, if you've had trouble with relationships, clear, ground, meditate, ask for the ability to spot red flags and to act effectively. Because denial is one of the hardest things when it comes to this, is people don't want to believe that they've been exposed to something, or that a person who's displaying a behavior actually normally displays that behavior. Instead, they think it's an aberration, and so they don't count it as a red flag, and then they get stuck and lose years of their lives to toxic relationships. Ask for the ability to see and to act effectively towards red flags if you're struggling in your relationships. And if you're struggling in finding your answers via a divination art, make sure that you clear your deck on a regular basis as well, which you can just sit it in. You can sit it on top of a pile of salt or sea salt. Sea salt's going to work better for that one. And you can put crystals on top of it as well to help charge and clear your decks. Okay, so that was Logical Magic, how to make sure that you're clearing your attachments, opening your psychic eye, and keeping your space as clear as possible to get the most accurate answers that you can. I'm Alane. You can find me at therisingmoon.com to book me for a tarot card reading session or a life coaching session, or if you need to ask me about magic, that would come under the life coaching session thing as well. Everything that you do to prepare your space will help with the efficiency of the magic and the rapidity with which it will manifest in your life. All of this prep work is about preparing your energetic space for the changes that you want to make, whether it's in magic or divination or simply in meditation. This is the way to reach out and get the answers that are right for you. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again next time, and keep your space clear and your answers will be as well.